There was this one time in Phoenix. So me and my friends lived in this town. It's in the middle of nowhere called Dolan Springs. It's like 300 people live there. So one weekend, one of the guys, his girlfriend her family lived in Phoenix, and she was there because she was going to go watch Alanis Morissette or something like that. So she invited us down. Well, the problem is that my friend was a dumbass, and he didn't ask her what time she was going to the concert. So when we got there, the door was locked, right? So we're like, well, what are we going to do? We don't, so he's like, oh, I know somebody down the street that's selling weed. So we're like, all right. So we walk down the street. And as we're walking down the street, there's this little kid walks out. And he's like, hey, you're in my hood. You need to get out of my hood. And we're laughing at him because he's like a little kid, like 8 years old or something. And he's like, are you laughing at me? And we're just laughing more. It's like, because it was comical. So anyway, we get down to the end of the street, and he goes inside and he's buying the weed and all that. And while we're inside, we didn't notice, but people started piling up behind us, like a bunch of big dudes. And all of a sudden we hear my friend's coming out, and he sees them because we're looking his way, right? So he sees them, and he's like, what the fuck's going on? And we turn around, and sure enough, there's like all these Mexicans, and they have these big sticks, like big, like not a 3-foot stick, like a stick you have to like hold on the ground, right? And
tiki torch,
like huge, like I don't know, like the plumbing or something, I don't know. So when I get out, as soon as we turn around, I was the biggest guy there, and they look at me and they go, hey. I don't know if you know this, but this is how the gang members get the fight started. Hey, I want to talk to you. Yeah. I was like, that's all right. I don't want to talk. And he's like, no, it's all right, man. No, I just want to talk to you. Come over here. And it kind of hit me. I was like, realized that they were all perfectly lined up in the center of the street. Like they weren't crossing the street. And they were trying to get me to cross the center of the street. So the guy that came out with the weed, he comes out and he's like, nobody wants to talk to you, right? He says, we're just going to stay here. You're going to stay there, whatever. And then the guy that he bought the weed from comes out and he's like, hey, he's like, no fucking fights in my neighborhood, right? And then they all disperse like it's nothing, right? But then as we're walking away, we start to notice that they're behind the buildings and they're running behind the buildings. They're trying to catch up to us around the corner, but they still haven't crossed the street. And my friend tells me it's because there's 2 separate gangs there. And they are only allowed to be on that side of the street. If they cross the street, then it's going to be a gang war between the other gang. And the guy that he bought the weed from is the lead of that gang. So we were protected, as long as we stayed on that side of the street. But the block is only a block, You don't
want to go on their turf.
Yeah, right. So we started running, and then we ran all the way around the building and down the street or whatever. And we had to, wait it out. But the problem is my car was parked in their hood across the street from his girlfriend's house. So we couldn't leave town. We were stuck there.
Shit was on milk crates and cinder blocks.
Actually, I got a funny story about that. I think it's past the statute of limitations. I could talk about this. So we get back there and we're sneaking we're sneaking in so we can get my truck and leave. But the battery's dead, right? And we don't have time to call somebody in a gang neighborhood and tell them, to get somebody to come in and jump the car or whatever. So we look around and there's another car parked near ours. And we're like, hey, there's a battery. So we're like popping the hood and we're pulling that battery out and everything. And people are coming out and they're like looking at us, but then they like look away like they're, I didn't see that, So anyway, we get the battery and right when we put the battery in, we get in the car and I start it, we put the hood down and there they are. They're all coming down the street. They're like, shit. So we speed out of there. So I never told you this story, but it's something that I need to make a video about. So this is my karma story. Okay, this is a true story, and it took years for this to happen. So we peel out of there, right? So we get to this diner, and we go into the diner. We don't have any money or whatever, so we do a dine and ditch, And I run across the street, and they all run in different directions, so they can't catch us. And then one of them went back to get the car, and then he was going to come back and pick us up. Well, I'm across the street next to a porn store. And I'm looking. There's a poster next to me, and the porn star's name is Karma with a K. And at that time I didn't know why I remembered that. But then he comes and picks me up, and we take off. Now we're in the middle of the desert, and it starts snowing, like blizzard snow. And we already have a battery that's not working very well because of the alternator wasn't charging it. So we have to turn the headlights on, and we have to turn the wipers on, and we end up getting stuck. The battery dies. We get stuck on the side of the road. In the middle of a blizzard, in the middle of the desert,
A
right?
blizzard in the desert.
A blizzard in the desert. So, and then semi trucks wouldn't stop. They're just like, we're trying to wave them down, and they're just flying past me, right? So there was a mattress we had in the back. It was a pickup truck. So we had some guy sitting on the mattress. We took it out and we set it on fire because we're freezing. You know, we just came from Phoenix, Arizona, so we were on shorts. And we set the thing on fire. Still, nobody's stopping trucks, right? There's 7 of us, and it was a Datsun pickup. I don't know if you know how big a Datsun 720 is, but it's a tiny pickup.
Yeah.
So we're so cold, all 7 of us squeeze into the cab, and we're all sitting in the cab, and we're just freezing, you know? And I passed out. And then I wake up, and just for a little bit, and I'm in the back of a semi-truck. And I hear the guy saying, you know, just hold on or whatever. We're just going to need to get over the hill. Our truck had broken down on this side of the hill, and there was a truck stop on the other side of the hill, but because of the blizzard, we couldn't see the lights. We were like less than a half a mile away from it, right? We're freezing on the side of the road. So he pulls us into to the truck stop, and he buys us all coffee and everything to warm us up. The truck driver did, really, you know, angel out of nowhere, right? The waitress's name is Karma with a K, okay? Yeah. So it hit me, but then it didn't hit me yet. Like I saw it, but I was like coincidence, you know. So and she was a tweaker or whatever. She had no teeth or anything like that. So they let us sleep in the movie theater because the truck stops have movie theaters and stuff like that for the truckers. So we sleep in the movie theater in the morning. His dad comes out, charges the battery, and then we go back home. A couple years go by, right? And I don't remember what happened. I think I ran away or something, and we stole a car from a gas station, a repair shop gas station, and the whole time that we took the car apparently was being repaired because the wheels were bow-legged, so it was tearing up tires. So as we're driving to California from Arizona, we have to stop and steal tires because the tires keep blowing up. And it even got to the point where I had to sell some of my stuff to buy a tire because we couldn't find a car to steal tires from to put on this car. Well, we finally get to not Anaheim, it starts with a B. Brunswick, not Brunswick. Barstow. We get to Barstow, California, and we're out of gas. So we need to get gas, right? So we pull into this hotel, and we park the car, and we're siphoning gas out of the van next to us. And the security guard comes. He's whistling and shit, and his flashlight's around, and he just happens to glance at us for 1 second, and he's like, steps back, and he leans over, and he puts a flashlight on us, and here we are, 2 idiots holding. One's got the hose, the other one's got the tank, and it's just like there's literally the water flowing, but it's almost like it went in slow motion. And he's all, what the fuck? So we hightailed it. And the only reason he didn't chase us is because we threw the hose down and the gas just kept pouring out of the hose. So he's like, oh, fuck, so he's trying to stop that. So
throw a cigarette butt next.
yeah, right. It could have been worse. So we finally leave there, but now we don't have clothes, we don't have money, we don't have nothing. Everything's left in the car. Okay. We ended up sleeping on the side of the road. And literally on the side of the highway, and there were like a cardboard down there, so I'm guessing homeless people were sleeping there, but it smelled like shit. They were definitely shitting there, so we couldn't take the smell. So, and it was so freezing cold. So we went to a Dunkin' Donuts that was open 24 hours, and we literally just sat in there while they were open, and we slept in one of the tables. So after that, they wouldn't let us back in because they realized we were just homeless people, and we were walking down the street, and just at a weird coincidence, it's really windy in Barstow. Somebody had lost money and it was stuck in the tree. Like there was a $20 bill just stuck in the tree. Like we're looking around, there's nobody there, and there's just money in the tree. So we take the money and a money tree, yeah. So we take the money, we go inside, and back then, I don't know if you remember, the gas stations had like 2 hot dogs for 99 cents, something like that. So we get hot dogs, and then we realize that we can't sleep outside again, and we can't sleep in that restaurant. So there's what a St. Vincent de Paul is?
It's a church for troubled youths.
Sort of.
Troubled youths.
It's like a homeless place or whatever. They give you clothes and stuff like that, but they're very strict. Like you have to show up at a certain time, you have to leave at a certain time.
It's a homeless shelter.
Yeah. So we go to that, and they let us in, and we eat oatmeal or whatever, and it was freezing in there. They just give us like this blanket that's like basically see-through. And I'm thinking they did that on purpose because they didn't want you feeling comfortable.
So you're not doing.
No, there's people all right next to you, but you're in a cot. But
jerking it underneath.
Well, the next day we decide we're going to hop on a train to get back. And we're waiting at the train station, and my friend finally couldn't take it. He broke. He couldn't take it. So instead of getting on the train, he calls his aunt, and his aunt sends someone out to pick us up or whatever. Or he sends us money for a bus ticket, and we get a bus ticket, and we go home. So forgot all the things. Yeah, I forget about this, and another year goes by. I'm working at a grocery store, which is a whole nother story by itself. So the grocery store is owned by a Korean. And he was a nice guy, but he was he would tell me stories while I'm cleaning up, so I'm mopping and stuff, and he would tell me stories about the war. He was in the Korean War. And one night, I swear to God, we were cleaning the store. I'm the only one there with him. I'm mopping the store, and he goes, one time I ate people. I said, I'm sorry, what'd you say? He goes, during the war. He says we were starving, so we had to eat the dead people. I'm thinking, what brought this up right now?
He was looking fucking tasty.
That's what I'm saying.
Meat on that boy.
I was like, well, that's great. Thanks for telling me that. I'll see you later. So after he told me that, he was trying to become more and more friendly with me and stuff like that. He didn't have a lot of friends in town. It's a redneck town. So one day, the cops come out of nowhere. And this is for the car. But like a year later, like it took him a year to figure me out. And what I found out is my friend was getting high in his house. His grandfather saw him, called the cops on him. And then instead of just like, taking the slap on the wrist for smoking weed in the house, because it was illegal back then, he gives up everything, tells them all about me and all that stuff. Oh, it was his idea and all that stuff like that. So they, yeah,
Fucking rat.
it was like a case that was never going to be solved. And then fucking he does that. And this is, so my attorney's on the phone and he's like, are you going to, he goes, are you going to plead guilty, not guilty, whatever. It's like, I'm not guilty. And he's like, are you sure? And I was like, why? And it's like, what evidence do they have? And he says, well, your friend ratted on you. My friend's sitting right there in front of me and I'm on the phone. And I was like, what are you talking about? And he's like, yeah. He goes, let me play you the tape. So I'm looking at my friend in the eyes as he's going, yeah, it was all Dave. Dave did it all, whatever. And I was like, right. So needless to say, that didn't go well. So where was it going with this? Okay, so that happens, right? And I get the cops come to where I'm working at the grocery store, and they arrest me, and it freaked out the Korean dude. So he fired me, but this is how he fired me. He goes, I think you should go home today. And I was like, I'm in the cuffs. I'm like, yeah, I'll go home. I'll be back tomorrow. And he's like, no, I think you should go home for good. I was like, for good? I was like, am I fired? No, just not scheduled anymore.
Just not scheduled anymore.
So anyway, I ended up I go in front of the judge, and this is the judge I was talking about with all the tickets that knew me. So he sees me, and this time I'm not in for a ticket, right? I'm in there for joyriding, and that's what they called it back then, I guess. So it wasn't Grand Theft Auto; it was joyriding. I don't know what the difference between that is, but either way, he's like, you got a choice. He says you can go to boot camp, because back then they used to still do that. He's like, you can go to boot camp, or you can go to jail. And I was like, they got food at boot camp, I'll do boot camp, I got no problem with that.
They eat human over boot camp.
Yeah, right. Just keep me away from the Korean
What kind of food do you have?
So I go to boot camp and I do that whole thing or whatever. Well, there's this guy I become friends with there because nobody could break him. He was stronger than the drill sergeants, and he would purposely get in trouble so that they would punish him, and then he would prove to them that they couldn't hurt him, like they couldn't wear him out. So, for example, he would do something they didn't like, and he'd be like, "You want me to make you get you? You want me to make you give you? Or wait, what did he say? You want me to make you do push-ups?" And he goes, "Sir, yes, sir. You want me to make you do push-ups? Yes, sir." And he's all, "Okay, get down and give me 50." And he's like, "I'll give you 100, sir." He would make them so mad. So what they started doing is instead of giving him push-ups, they started giving everybody else push-ups. So everybody's like, "Stop fucking with them."
Yep, turn them on them.
Yep. So anyway, long story.
Psychologically, fuck you.
Well, the whole time though, he keeps talking about his girl. He's got this girl that he's in love with, and when he gets out, he's going to marry her. Blah blah blah, whatever. So we don't know anything about her. We don't have any pictures or anything like that. But when the visitation came up, and my dad came to visit me, and his girl came to visit him, here she walks in the door, and guess who it is? It's Karma.
Was his girl?
Yeah, from years ago. The waitress Karma is his girlfriend.
Oh shit.
I was like, okay, that's
Is she
3 times
porn
now.
Star?
Not the porn star, the waitress, but
right.
same name.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
the name has come up 3 times now. So now it's in my head. Now I'm thinking about it every single day. And after we get out of boot camp, we all meet up to party and all that stuff. And while we're partying, they start pulling out drugs and they're like, "Hey, you want to do it?" I was like, I'm thinking, I don't know. I just got done with boot camp. I don't want to go back or whatever. And his girlfriend shows up, still wearing her uniform with Karma written on it. And they're over there smoking weed and doing whatever. And I'm looking at her shirt, looking at her name, and I'm like, you know what? This is 4 times now that Karma has come into my life. So I'm like, you know what? I'm out of here. You guys have fun or whatever. I get in my car and I drive up to the top of the hill and I stop and I'm like taking a breath. And I look in my rearview mirror. They got raided by the cops right after I left.
That the house you guys were at. Yeah.
Yep. And I wouldn't have been going to boot camp that time.
Yeah.
Every one of them ended up going to jail.
Oh shit.
Karma saved my life. And literally I haven't done nothing crazy since then. I got the message.
I didn't know you had that delinquent behavior going on.
Oh yeah. I was living in the middle of nowhere. There's nothing else to do but bad shit. You know what I mean? Like you just do shit for attention.
What was really going on at that truck stop, at the movie theater at a truck stop? What kind of movie theater was it?
So get this. So to finish the Karma story, right? So I meet you, right? All this is, we get involved and all that stuff, and we start doing the improv, right? And then we meet Jenna. And what's the name of? See if you remember. What's the name of Jenna's improv?
Something minute.
Kismet.
Oh, but yeah.
And Kismet means what?
Means path of destination. I forget.
It means karma.
Yeah. Does it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Destiny, karma.
All right.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. Yeah. So
I'm still on a path, I guess. I don't know.
yeah, you gotta have good karma.
Yeah. When I heard the name of that place, I was like, "You got to be kidding me!" I was like, "I didn't do anything wrong this time."
You immediately knew the definition?
No, I didn't actually. I found out after we did the podcast with her. I was trying to remember the name of the place that she was at, right? Because she was talking about them doing like open mics and stuff there. So I was Googling it and it came up and the AI gave the definition of it.
All right.
And when I saw that, I was like, son of a bitch.